Hey, what's going on? Luke here. And the State of Origin series for 2023 is only a couple of weeks away, and obviously there's going to be a lot of talk about who should be picked and who shouldn't be picked. And last week I did a video where I talked about the New South Wales side. Obviously in like a week's time, it literally is sort of not irrelevant, but it's definitely outdated already. I was talking about guys like Trebojevic and stuff not being available. Obviously, he's available now. He's been named to play for Manly. Josh Adokar, another one. I guess it kind of just shows how things can change so quickly in the NRL. But I have gone ahead and I've done my 1 to 17 for the Queensland Maroons. And I spent about 5 minutes on this, so this isn't exactly something that I've thought long and hard about. But I kind of took a look at last year's side. I took into account some form of some of the players this year. And I sort of came up with a side that I think might be similar to the one that they actually picked. There's a few rumours sort of going around about certain players. Obviously, Dane Gagai is a big one. He's someone that I probably would actually pick myself normally, but there's a lot of talk about him being dropped. So I haven't actually included him in the side because I just feel like he's probably not going to get picked. And even then, I'm saying that like, I probably would pick him, but I'm not even certain on that. The thing that I did notice with the Queensland side in comparison to the New South Wales side is for New South Wales, I felt like I was looking, okay, certain players definitely met the criteria of playing for State of Origin, but there were definitely some, like the bench and the back row and the front rowers and all that sort of stuff. The fullback for New South Wales in previous years has been quite stacked, but this year it sort of came to the point where I was looking at it and I was sort of clutching at straws trying to figure out why such and such players should be in the side. Whereas the Queensland side, I was looking at reasons why they shouldn't be in the side because they have such depth in terms of the forward pack. Realistically, there's so many players who could come in and, play prop in the second row. And, I mean, the hookers sort of pick himself, to be honest. But it was very, very difficult for me to actually settle on like a bench and the back rowers and the props. Because there's definitely some players that I had in the side and I switched them out, just as quick as I had them in the side. But look, I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to check out the side. But I do need to mention, if you happen to enjoy this video, make sure you go ahead and leave a like on it. And subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Been getting lots of likes as of late. If we can hit like 50 likes or something, that'd be absolutely amazing. That'd be incredible. The more likes, the more growth for the channel. Just if you want to help me out, go ahead and leave a like on it. Leave a comment as well. I'll definitely reply to you. But definitely leave a like and subscribe. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers. And look, we're well and truly on track. So go ahead and subscribe. Also, go ahead and become a member if you'd like to. Seeing all of the members on the screen currently, a lot of familiar faces. And you're also seeing the super chatters as well. Been getting a fair few super chats as of late. Shout out to everybody who's been doing it because it helps out the channel massively. Much love to everybody who's become a member and who's also been super chatting. So thank you so much. Also, go ahead and check me a follow on social media. It's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke on YT. Don't have a Facebook anymore, but everything else you're seeing on the screen, all the little platforms or whatever it's called, it's Mr. Luke on YT. Give me a follow, give me an ad. Mainly do TikTok and Snapchat and all that sort of stuff. Instagram's another big one. So you know what, just go ahead and follow me. You know you want to. Anyways, we're going to start off with the fullback, which I think is probably one of the most hotly contested spots for the Queensland side. Plenty of talk about Reece Walsh. I actually haven't gone Reece Walsh. I thought I'd just point that out. I've gone Kalyn Ponga. The reason being is that he's the incumbent. He literally was player of the series last year. And as much as his form and, he has been injured, and I'll be honest, a couple of weeks ago I probably would have said no chance. But he came out, he had a great performance last week. And it sort of shows that, Ponga just needs a little bit of confidence. And I think he can do the job. And, he's playing in a new position for the Knights, but going and playing fullback for Queensland, it's not unfamiliar for him. So, look, Reece Walsh, I think, there's definitely a chance at some point Reece Walsh will play for Queensland. I mean, last year he was named and then didn't end up playing or whatever, but Queensland don't necessarily need to blood a Reece Walsh. Kalyn Ponga has been there. He's been good for them. He's won a series for them. He's been player of the series. I can't remember if he officially got it, but he definitely was the best player last year. But look, Kalyn Ponga is a fantastic player when things are going well and he's playing in a good side. He doesn't have to be the main guy for Queensland. He can just be a guy. Whereas at the Knights, he has to be the main guy. He's got all the pressure, all the money, all the salary cap space. It doesn't matter when you're in State of Origin. And I think Kalyn Ponga really excels in these State of Origin games. It's sort of hard to sort of compare Origin. It's sort of getting into that Dane Gagai status, you know what I mean? Where Origin Kalyn Ponga is a complete different beast to Newcastle Knights Kalyn Ponga. It just seems to be sort of how it is. But yeah, if Kalyn Ponga is fit and he's confident and he's playing half decent, you got to pick him in the number one. If not, Reece Walsh is the obvious backup. But at the same time, if Reece Walsh got picked, I wouldn't be like, oh my god, that's a terrible pick. But for me, Kalyn Ponga is your number one. It's got to be there. Now moving on to the wingers. This is one where I was a little bit sort of like the wing and center combination, just depending on who ends up getting picked. But for the wingers, in fact, let's just go over actually like the winger and center combo. So I've gone for Cobbo and the Hammer to be in the centers, and then I've gone with Valentine Holmes and Murray Tuolangi to be on the wing. So I kind of linked up the Cowboys guys, but I mean the Hammer literally just played for the Cowboys last year, but the Hammer's played in the centers for State of Origin as well and did quite a good job there. Obviously been playing fantastic at fullback. I just want to point that out, being playing great at fullback. He's not going to play fullback for Queensland. Like I said, Reece Walsh is definitely the backup. I mean, mid-game, if there's an injury or something, you can shift in there. But Valentine Holmes is another one. They've got plenty of options in terms of fullbacks, Queensland. But in terms of centers, there's no... Like, Gagai has been someone who's been there for so long, and I realistically think there's a massive chance that he ends up getting picked. I don't think he's been fantastic for the Knights for a couple of years, but we all know Gagai playing for Queensland, again, is a different beast. I just literally made the comparison of Kalyn Ponga to Dan Gagai. It's funny that they both play for the same club side, both play for Queensland. You chuck him in the Queensland side and he's probably going to do a job. However, I think it's going to be a tough ask. Whoever gets matched up against Latrell Mitchell, I'm not sure it's going to be favourable for them. Even Tommy or whoever ends up playing in the centres for New South Wales has some pretty decent centres at the moment. Even if it's Campbell Graham, Burton, anyone like that, definitely going to be tough. But look, for Dan Gagai, super unlucky to not make this side. But I think realistically, it all comes down to, do they go for Dan Gagai or do they go for Murray Tuolangi? Because I think Hammer can play wing and he can play centre. I think either one, you chuck him in there. I mean, Tuolangi played for Australia on the wing, so obviously I feel like it's just kind of, you have to sort of pick him. Not have to pick him, but hasn't really given a reason to not pick him. And Gagai's form has been sort of on the downhill. Knights haven't been playing that great. And I know the argument, I literally used it myself, that Gagai always steps up for State of Origin, but I think it's super unfair to not be able to pick a guy like the Hammer, who's actually played State of Origin before. It's not like he's not done it. So you've got the Hammer there. Valentine Holmes is 100% getting picked. Cobbo is 100% getting picked. Corey Oates probably might have been there, but obviously he's injured. So for me, you got to go Cobbo. He was there last year. He's definitely going to be there this year. And then Tuolangi, I think, is going to be there as well. So if Tuolangi's there, I think you link him up with Valentine Holmes or even the Hammer, because you can link him up with either one. So look, I think it's a nice little backline. It's not as star-studded as New South Wales one, in my opinion, but it's still a very, very solid backline. But the rest of the side for Queensland, it's super hard to pick. I mean, we're going to talk about the halves next, which I think sort of picks himself. But the rest of the side, it is quite difficult, but for good reasons. Now, the halves is Cameron Munster and Daly Cherry Evans. They're the halves going forward. They're the halves, in previous years. They're the halves this year. Cherry Evans, fantastic. I'm not sure exactly who takes over if Cherry Evans, sort of retires or is injured or whatever. Tommy Dearden played last year in the number 6. I'm not sure who comes in as like a halfback. I don't know if you just play Dearden as the number 7 or whatever. But look, Cherry Evans is here and he's definitely going to be there for the Origin series as long as there's no injuries. Munster steps up for Origin. I mean, would you say stepping up? He just plays good all the time. I love Cameron Munster as a player. Don't like seeing it when he plays at Queensland, but fantastic player. Him and Cherry Evans have been there for years. They've got a nice little combo. You add in Ponga there as well. You add in Ben Hunt, who's my hooker. I'll just go through the whole spine. They've had a combination that's been there for the last couple of seasons. Even Harry Grant there as well. Obviously, there's the Grant and Munster sort of combination at club level. And they've done it at Origin level too. So I think the thing for Queensland is that they have a little bit of consistency in sort of the spine, where the Blues as of late haven't really had that, to be honest. I mean, obviously, there's always going to be Tedesco there. There's always going to be Cleary there. Luai's been there the last couple of seasons. Damien Cook's been in and out of the side, which is something that I don't necessarily agree with, but they sort of tried a few different combinations in terms of the spine. But the Queensland, Ben Hunt's always somewhere there. Harry Grant's always somewhere there. And then obviously Munster and Cherry Evans always the halfback at 5'8", unless there's injury. So I think the halves sort of pick themselves. Now into the 4-pack, doesn't necessarily pick itself, in my opinion, and this is something that I swap players from the bench to the starting side, to not in the side at all, to back in the side. It was very, very hard for me. Trying to look at it objectively as is this what they would pick? Is this what I want to pick? Is this best for the overall side? It's been sort of difficult to try and come up with an exact sort of forward pack and bench, but this is the best I sort of come up with. And realistically, tomorrow I'll probably wake up and go, I don't know why I picked him, or I'll see the actual side that they pick and go, yep, should have seen that one coming. But we're going to start off with the front rowers. So I have Big Tino. I have him at number 8, and also have Josh Papali'i. Papali'i is another one who plays well at Origin level regardless of how things are going for club. And I know he's not exactly setting the world on fire at the Raiders at the moment, but I think realistically, you got to stick solid with Josh Papali'i. He's just been too good for too long. Been one of the best forwards in the game for a long time. And I think with that experience, especially at Origin level, you need one of those guys in the side, especially considering when you're going to see the rest of the side, it's a lot of youngsters. But for me, Josh Papali'i is someone you need in the side, whether it's on the bench, whether it's, I don't know, you can play a whole bunch of different positions. But for me, he is a starting front rower. And Big Tino, there was sort of a little bit of a debate for me whether to play him as, a prop or play him as a lock. But you'll understand it when I get to the actual lock itself. So yeah, I've gone for Tino Papali'i. Tino's the captain for the Gold Coast Titans. Fantastic player. He's really done it all in the game at this point, and he's super, super young, but I really rate him as a player. He has to be in the starting side for me. He's definitely going to be in the side, but it's just a matter of whereabouts. So that's the front row. The hooker, like I already said, was Ben Hunt. Now we get to the back row, and this is a position I didn't initially have these guys as the back rowers, but I was like, nah, of course, they're going to be the back rowers. Gone with Kurt Capewell, I've gone with Felice Kafusi. Kafusi is someone I actually completely forgot about because he's been suspended and whatnot for the Dolphins, but he's kind of been rejuvenated. Now, last year, going into this year, I probably would have been like, Kafusi probably won't play for Queensland ever again, but I think he's been very, very good for the Dolphins, and I don't think he's retired or anything from rep footy, so I think he gets picked. Kurt Capewell's been there for the last couple of years. He's been good. Pretty decent for the Broncos. I wouldn't necessarily say he's been like an elite second row or anything, but he's been there for the last couple of seasons, and Queensland tend to stick pretty solid to previous sort of series, and Kurt Capewell's been there for a while. He plays for the Broncos. He's a starting back rower for the Broncos, and he's been playing pretty decent. It's not like he's playing bad. Are there better options that possibly could be? If Jeremiah Nanai is sort of available, wouldn't be surprised if he sort of gets picked, but I think he might be injured. So for that reason, I have gone with Capewell and Kafusi, because Kafusi's been absolutely killing people this year. So I think he kind of picks himself. Capewell is the one that, if he doesn't get picked, I wouldn't be super surprised, but at the same time, I would be a little shocked that they didn't stick solid. Anyways, look, moving on to the lock position, kind of goes hand in hand with Tino, because if Tino's not playing lock, well then, who is? So I have gone with Paddy Carrigan. Last year, I believe in Game 3, I think he ended up starting. Tino came off the bench. I sort of looked at guys like Christian Welch as well as being options for the side. Obviously, I'm talking about him right now. He's not in the side. The sort of guys in previous years where probably would get picked and maybe Tino would move to the lock position. But I think Carrigan, we've seen him talk a lot. He brings a lot of leadership. And like I said, a lot of these guys are super young in terms of the Queensland side. So having a guy like Paddy Carrigan there, obviously young himself, but just in terms of how he presents himself and how he talks, definitely is a leader of the pack. You have him and Tino in the starting side. I think that adds a lot. They obviously pack a punch in terms of just as a forward themselves, but just in terms of the leadership and in terms of what they bring to the side, I think is what New South Wales might be missing, you know what I mean? So Paddy Carrigan at the lock position, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think the four pack himself is super, super strong. Back row is a little bit I'm not sure exactly how they're going to go instead of Origin. Obviously, Kafusi can do the job, but I have a little bit of question marks over Capewell. But realistically, looking at his previous performances, I don't have a reason to really doubt him, but for some reason I am. But look, that is my starting side. That's my 1 to 13. Now it's time to take a look at the bench. I already sort of revealed who's on it to a degree. I said Harry Grant's going to be there. Obviously, he is. Harry Grant, fantastic player. Super unlucky to not end up in the number 9 itself, and you could probably chuck him in the number 9 and sort of rotate with him, and if he's the number 9, Ben Hunt's got to be in the bench. It's just how it is. They're going to be the combination in terms of the hooker and utility. It's just a matter of who starts and who's on the bench. And I've gone for Ben Hunt, number 9, and then Harry Grant, which is what they did last year. I can't really see them deviating away from that, considering that they won last year and how dominant Ben Hunt's been. And he's even been playing hooker for the Dragons. So it's not like he's just getting chucked into the hooker position. He's actually getting some preparation. It doesn't happen very often going into Origin. So Ben Hunt for the 9, Harry Grant off the bench. Great little combo. It's the same one they've been doing for years. But the rest of the bench was actually very, very difficult for me. I mentioned Christian Welch. There's a bunch of other players. Lukey's another one. There's a whole bunch who could be picked for this Queensland side, and that's what I was sort of alluding to, is the fact that the Queensland side has so much depth. And that's something that a couple of years ago I probably would have laughed at and said New South Wales have this dynasty. They've got all the talent in the world. You get your Boyovic's, your Latrell Mitchells, and they've got all the best young players in the game. And all of a sudden, it sort of swung back around where Queensland have a lot of the talent now. So the bench that I've actually gone with, Harry Grant's number 14. The rest of it, though, Joy Arrow, Lindsay Collins, and David Fifita. I think Fifita will return to the State of Origin arena. I think he's been very good. He's someone initially I had in the starting side, and I thought Kafus and Kate will got to be the starters. Fifita off the bench. You can just bring him on as a little bit of an X factor. Then you've got Collins, who actually has started, I think, last year, maybe even the year before, I can't remember, but he definitely started last year. And then you've also got Joy Arrow, who can play back row, can play in the forwards, he can play a lock. Just went with him for versatility. But obviously, there's plenty of other options in terms of the bench for Queensland, but that's just sort of who I settled on. And like I said, this isn't something that I'm like set in stone. I'm like, these are the guys that need to be there. There's a lot of players that could be there for Queensland at this point, but that's the bench that I've gone with. I think it kind of works well in terms of there's a little bit of everything there. Like, you got guys who have some versatility. Obviously, Harry Grant can literally just sort of play. He can just play dummy half. But if there's injuries, I mean, Ben Hunt can shift into the halves. You got Joy Arrow who can cover literally all of the whole forward pack. And then you've obviously got Collins there, the big bopper. And then you got Dave Fifita, who at a stretch could cover some of the backline as well. So, look, I think you got great coverage there. And I think it's a very, very sort of well-balanced lineup and a well-balanced bench. So, yeah, look, as a New South Wales fan, this isn't a side I'm looking forward to see them go up against. And it does make me a little nervous, to be honest with you. But look, it's just a fantastic side. That's realistically all I can say there. And look, guys, let me know in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on this Queensland side that I've picked? And also, what are your thoughts on your side? Who would you pick? Who would you add in? Who would you leave out? You got to let me know, because I feel like I've picked a pretty decent side, but obviously, there's going to be some people. There's probably going to be some changes. I definitely don't expect this to be the 1-17, but that's just sort of a calculated guess at like a combination of my picks and also who I think they'll actually pick in terms of Billy Slater picking his side. So a little bit of a combo there. But guys, if you happen to enjoy this video, make sure you go ahead and smash the like button, because obviously I'm wrapping things up here. Smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. I'll save you the whole shtick that I did at the start of the video. Just leave a like and subscribe. Do all that sort of stuff. Give me a follow on social media, seeing it on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke on YT. Go ahead, give me a follow, give me an ad, and stay tuned for more content on the channel. State of Origin is just around the corner, a couple of weeks away, like I said. So stay tuned for more content on the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. See yous.